I have a crazy idea. What if Tesla's Cybertruck doesn't have windshield wiper blades on purpose? Wait for the bounce, then let me explain. It really does make sense. All right, I know there are people who follow me who are wondering why, one, I haven't done a video in a long time, and two, my first video in a long time is about Tesla Cybertruck. Well, the simple answer is I ordered one, and so I'm super excited, and so I'm going to talk about it because you get to be my vent for this. The other reason is because thinking about one of the comments made online is that the Cybertruck doesn't have windshield wiper blades, and is that some kind of just a prototyping miss, or is that intentional? And at first I thought it was a prototyping miss, but then I thought about some filming techniques that we use with CNC machines where we do what's called an air knife over the lens. And that got me thinking. So let's check this out. Here is our beloved Cybertruck. And if there's one thing we all know, it is a prototype currently, and as prototypes go, there's things that are missing. For instance, there's some regulations around side lights. I think have to be yellow in the front and red in the back. There's obviously the missing mirrors has been talked about. I don't know that this bumper is actually legitimately a bumper under the definition, like impact zones and stuff like that. I'm sure there's crumple zone issues to work out. But the one I think, innovatively speaking, could be missing on purpose is right here. There's no windshield wiper blades there. And I know what you're thinking. Well, a windshield wiper is like the least important thing. But actually doing a windshield wiper for a piece of glass this big is actually non-trivial. If you think about trying to get the windshield wiper to cover the important areas, that's going to be a really big, bulky, awkward pair of wipers. There's a lot of ways they could try to pull it off, but nonetheless, it's going to be awkward. So that got me thinking. And the thinking I was doing was, well, there's a thing called an air knife. Now, air knives are industrial devices. They've been around for a while, and they will blow a curtain of air you can see in this picture right here, they'll blow a curtain of air directly over something. So you put air pressure in, and they create very pluralized, straight-flowing air. Well, going back to that Cybertruck, you have a big, straight surface here. And so you could put an air knife, an array of air knives here, and they could theoretically, they could blow air in a nice parallel line over the surface of this sucker. And then what'll happen is anything that comes down and hits it, let's pop open a little blue here. Let's say we're in a rainy day. Any rain that comes down and hits it, it's actually going to hit that air curtain before it hits the glass, and it's going to fly off. All that rain is going to kick over. It's all going to kick over. Now, the water that does get through, you've already got all the assist, right? You're already driving down the highway at 90 miles an hour. Okay, 90 is really fast, don't drive 90. Say 60, 65 miles an hour. You have all this assist air coming off of the highway as well. It's going to help push all of that off. You mix that with a hydrophobic surface, and you potentially don't actually need windshield wipers. In fact, you're doing something very Tesla in the sense that the removal of the windshield wiper means you're replacing wear components that move, right? You got motors and springs, and you have the actual arm itself, and you have circuitry and electronics for that. That's a lot of parts. And then you have the actual blade itself, which is, it's got springs, it's a wear component, especially, oh man, who doesn't hate the jittery sound of a wearing out windshield wiper blade? All of that gets replaced with a machined component that has no moving parts and a solenoid to open up air. You already have to have the air compressor because remember the Tesla truck is riding on on air springs, and it's going to have an air compressor built in. So if you have air springs and you have an air compressor, you need a solenoid and you need your array. So how do these arrays work? Well, let's go ahead and look at a 3D model of what one you could download and play with yourself. So here's a 3D model of one. So how they work is air comes in and it gets converted to a very flat surface. In this case, it's then spread out here and fanned out. Two of these, in this case, two of these go together. You print them together. You can kind of see that these are the parts printed together, and you can see how that air flows through that area. So it's I know it's a crazy idea to think that you could replace a bunch of moving parts, but Tesla's done crazier things, and it's in their DNA. This is a really straightforward piece of engineering to do. It would be very innovative. Hydrophobic surfaces are getting incredibly good. They're custom making their glass already, so it would not be outside the realm of possibility to create a hydrophobic coating that is very strong, that's resilient to scratching, that they're already that has a wear characteristic of basically never wearing out, and then mix that with a no moving parts windshield wiper. Plus, air knife sounds cool, and if you have a Cybertruck with an air knife, that just instantly sounds cooler than windshield wiper blades. So there you have it. So where did air knives come as an idea from my perspective? Well, there are guys who do a lot of filming with CNCs, and what they will do, because especially with flood coolant, will get way in the face of the CNC and create fuzzy videos. I have that problem right now. They will build air knives to actually run just a low pressure, constant flow of air. And that's where I've run into this idea. So I'm not original. What I am doing is saying, hey, this technique could be used. Edge Precision is a great video where he breaks down this. Here's one, another video where a guy made one for his GoPro, and he actually he has a 3D model you can download and print. So if you happen to be in the whole videoing CNC world, this might be a good video for you to check out. So that's where I got the idea of dropping on an air knife array right across here. Tie that sucker in, solenoid, and you're good to go. So there you have it. That's my crazy Tesla, I'm not going to say rumor, just idea. Crazy Tesla idea. Talk about innovative. Windshield wiper-less car. You never get the screeching. You never have to replace a windshield wiper. You're removing a bunch of electronics. You're removing a bunch of sensors. You're removing a bunch of mechanical components. You're replacing all that with one machined component that you could put in. This is one of the advantages of it being a flat surface. Obviously, an airblade would be very hard on a curve, especially if that curve is compound as it changes over distance. But in this case, you have a very flat surface. It doesn't compound. It doesn't change over distance. So you could very easily mix a hydrophobic material coating and an airblade and get a car that you just don't need a windshield wiper on. It just doesn't need it. And then you mix that with maybe a heating element, and then you have a car where it could auto scrape its own ice off the top, because you could run a sheet of hot air across the top and the bottom of the glass, because you already have the defroster as kind of a standard thing. So you mix the defroster with warm air on the inside with the air blade blowing warm air on the outside, and you could really get rid of a fairly large sheet of ice pretty quickly. Do I think this is going to happen? I have no clue. Is it within the realm of possibility that this is something Tesla would do? I totally think this is something Tesla would do. Again, it removes parts, it simplifies manufacturing, it is innovative in ways that we didn't even think about from the perspective of no bouncing, squeaking windshield wiper, no windshield wiper replacement. It's easy to maintain, and you already have to have the air pump. You already have to support that air suspension. The compressor's already there. Really, it seems like a very small addition and removal of a large BOM cost, right? Springs and parts and arms, and that piece of glass is going to need totally new wiper blades. So there's all of the work going into actually making a wiper blade, which you think about it, is potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars in tooling, maybe millions of dollars in tooling costs. So that's my totally crazy idea. I hope you guys liked it. Sub regardless if you liked it or not. Like the video if you thought it was a good idea. Comment below. What do you think? Cybertruck with Airblades. Just love the sound of Airblades. Cybertruck Airblades. Cybertruck Airblades. It just sounds cool, right? Anyways, thanks for watching. See you on the flip side.